Hello guys, and welcome back to SRL here on the channel. Today we are gonna have a little bit of a special race for today. As you know, 2 weeks ago we did the 1.2 hours of Road America, and it was absolutely hammering it down in terms of rain. Well, the drivers have voted, and they actually wanted a rerun of this specific race. So that is what we're doing today. But the crucial thing is that the points from 2 weeks ago, the first run on Road America, is still going to count. So Dion's victory in that race, in case you missed it, will still count as a victory. And so there's nothing there in terms of lost points or wasted time. The video is not on our channel right now, but we still counted the results, and we're going to do a rerun here. So we are just waiting right now for the last couple of drivers to join, and then we're going to get into practice. 10 minutes mandatory practice, as it usually is. But if you are enjoying, so then hit the like button, hit subscribe, then you'll get notifications when we do streams and when we race. But we're just waiting for the last couple of drivers to join, and then we will start the session. So I'll come back to you as soon as we start. Right, so we are going to get underway here in 5 seconds for this rerun of Road America, and we are going to go into who is on the grid, and who's going to be racing today. So I'm going to come back as soon as practice has gotten underway, and then we will see who's running. Alright, so here we are, Road America once again, and if we just run quickly through the grid for today, we have Nick van Gelder, Dion Staal, Reese March, Lance Lebron, Tim Venting and Sandro Dulis. So a 6-car grid for today. It is not a lot, but it isn't too bad as well. If you have any questions during the race, feel free to ask them in the live chat and I'll try to answer. But some cars I can see heading out onto the track. Tim Venting, the first one out on track for practice in that orange Racing Team Netherlands car. So a very beautiful livery there. And obviously this is going to be the last race of this series on this side of the summer, obviously. the SRL season restarts after summer break, but this is the last LMP2 race that we are going to see this season. And we actually do still have a battle for second place. So as you may know, Vasilios Balestiotis has won the championship, and he is not going to lose the champion or be able to lose the championship even with this rerun of a race, because the man in second place, who is Sandro Dulis, who sits here, is in P2, but he is 12 points behind Vasilios, and there's only 11 points up for grabs each race. So Vasilios is still going to be crowned champion, but there is a titanic battle for second place actually, with Sandro Dulis on 33 points, and behind him is Rhys March with 31, and then Dion Stahl, who we have on our screens right now, is sitting in P4 with 29 points. So there is actually a battle for second place in the standings, and we will see how that goes. I saw there was a comment, there wasn't anything there. And further down we have Nick van Gelder and Lance Lebron, who is going to have a battle over what is presumed to be P5, but it could also fall out in a way so that we are going to see either Nick or Lance jump up the standings a little bit more than one place, but we will see. Nick is on 26 points and Lance on 25. And then our last driver for today is Tim Venting. He sits on 12 points for today, so he has actually got a chance of overtaking Rob Small in P7, who sits on 19 points. That is a gap of 7 points, and should be doable. It does require him to finish P2 or higher, however. So, but he looks like to have the speed as he goes slightly deep there into that corner, into the gravel trap. It avoids the wall there. But everyone except for Sandro is out on track right now. So let's follow last race second place winner, who was Nick van Gelder. Finished P2 in that race, a really good drive from him, but a couple of mistakes during the absolutely treacherous conditions meant that he wasn't quite able to challenge Dion Stahl, who took victory in that race. And then of course in P3 for that race was Lance Lebron, the last of the finishing drivers. And then we had Sandro Dulis, Rhys March and Tim Venting. So the same grid as last time, but hopefully everyone will be able to finish the race today. That would be very, very nice if that was the case. If you watch Lance go around, we get our first time, which is from Mr. Venting. It is a 2 minutes and 51 seconds. That is not a lap time that is going to be... Oh, and Lance goes off there, takes a little bit too much curb, but it seems like he's going to continue his lap. But yeah, Tim's time is nothing that we should count as a benchmark. It is merely a first lap, I would say, a banker lap. We're going to follow here. I think Lance is on a flying lap as he knocks a cone that was on the track into space. And here we go, around the final corner, up towards the start-finish line. Dion gets an invalidation of his lap time. So Lance is onto his flying lap now. That was his out lap. And really hard on the brakes into turn 1. So let's see what he can do. He was really fast. He took pole position last race. So he will see if he can replicate that. A really good run in qualifying for him. And we will see how things go for the American driver today. Hopefully it's going to be just as good. As he blasts down towards turn 3, which was the corner that we dubbed double puddle corner for the last race when it was raining. as there was 2 puddles on the racing line that sent you a little bit wide and made braking into the corner a little bit difficult. But so far a very, very good lap from Lance. Hasn't been any oversteer or understeer moments. Oh, I say that, there's a little bit of understeer there. Going a little deep there on the brakes. Don't know if he's the only one out on a lap. It seems like Dion is also on a flying lap. And he's going to come across the line first, so we're going to jump to him and follow him. In that beautiful blue Cadillac car. Looks very, very sleek. And here he comes. And he's going to be looking to replicate what happened last time out. As he took victory, because that would possibly propel him into P2 in the standings. Up to the line we had a few times there from Reese and Neek. Dion is going to come across the line. Might have been invalidated. But as you can see, Neek sets a 2 minute and a 2 minute flat basically. So benchmark is getting set. Reese 2.0 seconds off. Get another lap time. That was Lance. He is 2.4 seconds off Neek's lap time, so a really good lap. Then we have Venting, who is 51 seconds behind. Dion, I believe, had an invalidation on his lap. Sandro is also trying out his car right now, so everyone except for Tim out on track right now. And it seems like it's been a very clean lap so far from Dion. No really big moments here. He will be looking to see if he can get a sub 2 minutes time. I don't know if it should probably be possible, but we will see. As he goes into the long sweeping right-hander leading onto the back straight. Almost. Oh, a little bit of a twitch there. Oh, and he loses the car. Oh, he smashes into the barrier, so a bit of a moment there. It was going so well for Dion, but a snap of oversteer sent his car into a full flick spin and then into the wall with the rear end. So not a lap time that he is able to use. Sandro on his out lap, we're gonna stick our cameras onto him and see if we can follow him through a flying lap. Hopefully we can. So here we go, he comes up to the line to start his flying lap. Nick van Gelder goes below 2 minutes. It's a 1:58.7, so really good lap time there from Nick. And he has bridged a gap to Reese of 3.7 seconds, so a really good lap there from Nick. And we are getting closer to what we will probably see in qualifying. Dion goes across the line, but it is not a lap time that is worth anything as he took a spin. It's a 2:12, so he can't be too happy about that. We're currently following Sandro around his flying lap. No mistakes so far from the Greek driver, who is fighting to keep his position as P2 in the championship. A little bit of a slow exit there from that corner. And he will be looking to try and avoid what his teammate did on the previous lap. That is spinning through this next couple of corners. Practice is over. Time has run out. We have 85 seconds left. Here is Sandro. We'll be trying to avoid what Dion did. He does that perfectly. Someone has stopped on track. I think that might have been Neek. It was. He's going back into the pits, so requested a tow there. Here comes Sandro. He's the last one to post a lap. It'll be interesting to see what he can perform. I think Tim Venting, Dion Star. Oh no! Sandro has spun it and he has lost the wheel. Oh dear. So Sandro is not going to be setting a lap time in this session. That is not good, but he has still got some practice that he can take away from this session. So, right now, Dion and Tim Venting, the only two drivers out on track right now. That was a hefty hit from Sandro there. Tim loses the car and he goes into the wall, and he is also going to be out of this. And Dion goes second fastest there, so a bit of a tumultuous event there from Sandro and Tim Venting, two drivers who are bottom of the table after this practice session. But it is Nick van Gelder who is on a 1:58.751 who is taking first place in this practice session, then followed closely by Dion Stahl, only 2/10 behind. Then it is Reese March, a further 2.9 seconds behind. Lance 4.1 seconds behind, nearly 4.2. Then we have Tim Venting 52.8 seconds behind, and then Sandro without a lap time. So we're going to go into qualifying and we're going to see how things wrap up there. See who's going to be on pole position for this last race of the season. So here we are. Some drivers are looking very eager to try and get out on track. Lance is going to be the first one to venture out on this beautiful track in his Jackie Chan DC Racer. Reese follows him, and I think, yeah, Nick is going to follow as well. So Lance, the first one out on track, warming up his tires for flying lap here. Reese March as well, also joining the track now out of the pits. Nick as well out of the pits. Oh, Reese goes back into the pits there, so must have forgotten something, or something went wrong there. But let's see, Lance warming up his tires here for this beautiful final race. Final qualifying session of this series as well in this season. Dion as well out on track, who went second fastest in practice, so he has a bit of pace it seems. But to be fair, practice is nothing that we can take away from. Drivers could be sandbagging, as Reese March is now also out on track. We are following here Lance, who is leading his teammate Nick, as the two Jackie Chan DZ racers find their way around on their outlaps. And here Nick goes in front, so he's going to be the first one to go out on a flying lap. Lance wants a little bit more time to warm up his tires, so Nick is going to be the first one to come around for a flyer. So we will follow him here. That beautiful red and white livery, also a bit of black here. And if we should be reminding, the two Jackie Chan DZ racers are actually fighting against each other for position in the Drivers' Championship, as they stand right now. Nick van Gelder is leading his teammate Lance Lebron by a single point in the Drivers' standings. Mathematically, there is still a chance for Nick to get further up, and so is there for Lance, but it does require all the other drivers to mess up. But here we go, first man out on a flying lap is going to be Nick van Gelder, so we're going to follow him closely, as everyone except Tim is out on the track right now. First corner, no problems there for our Dutch Formula 1 champion. Turn 2, no problems there as well. Very, very smooth. Runs a bit onto the grass there, but it's no big deal. Everyone is out on track right now, so we'll be starting to see some lap time soon. Into turn 3. Beautiful entry. No problems there from Nick. Reese March actually the first one to set a flying lap, so I don't know how that is possible, as Nick was clearly the one that was first out of the pits, but it was a 2 minutes and 24 seconds from Reese. That is going to get smashed further on. Nick into the middle sector here, coming towards the final sector. Has to lift there. Now he will be avoiding what Dion did in practice here. He'll be trying to take it flat, but he needs to avoid a spin. Beautiful line there, no problems at all. Into the final section of the track. Runs a little bit onto the grass there, and that does mess up his line slightly, as Tim has racked himself a penalty here. Let's see what that is for. It's a 1 grip drop, 1 grip position of penalty. Nick is going to come up to the line. I think this is going to be a really good lap, and it is going to be the benchmark. Here we go. It is... oh, and we have someone here who has joined. There's a 1:58.4, so very good. And this is Jensen Randall has joined us here for today's race. So we're going to follow Lance. Lance jumps to second. He is 2.2 seconds behind. Dion goes fastest now with a 1:58.2, so really good stuff there. And yeah, Jensen Randall is going to be taking part in today's race. It's his first time in the LMP2 car, so it'll be interesting to see where he can find his way around. Reese jumps to third after a better lap. He is 1.7 seconds behind. Tim is having some problems, it seems. Sandro, I believe, is on a flyer. Coming into the final couple of corners. Jensen is just still sitting in the pits, it seems. Be interesting to see what he can do. But Sandro into the final corner. No, is that? Yeah, this is the final corner. Sorry. Up towards the start-finish line. What is it going to be from the Greek driver? It is pole position, and it is the fastest lap so far of today's session. It is a 1:57.7, and it puts his teammate for barely 5/10, so half a second behind him. That is a strong lap, as Tim Venting and Jensen Randall have made their way onto the track. So let's see what Britain can do. But a really strong lap there from Sandro. Superb driving. And look at this. So this is Dion and Lance. Very close together. I don't know if they're both on a flying lap. Dion is going to get a bit of slipstream here down towards the start-finish line. Lance improve. No, it doesn't improve, but Dion improves. It's a 1:56.4. So that slipstream from Lance LeBron has done him wonders. He is 1.2 seconds in front of his teammate. And these lap times are just coming down, 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 and down. Really fast lap times now. So this is really quality driving here. We're going to follow the green LMP2 racer of Jensen Randall. So I would not imagine that he has a setup. So he is probably going to be quite far down the field. It looks like the car is a little bit loose, but I'm not sure. We're going to follow him. Yeah, look this. Oh, bit of a tank slap there. So he doesn't have a setup. So yeah, he is going to be a little bit further down, I would imagine, on the grid. But he is going to be here nonetheless, so that is good. Meanwhile, Tim Venting, I believe, is on a flying lap. But his car is messed up quite badly, as you saw on the front bumper there. He has... that is Lance. Nope, it's Nick behind him. So we will see what happens. Oh, and Tim spins! He's really not been lucky in this series so far. He has got a couple of points, obviously. He has 12 points to his name, so nothing too major. And we're going to follow Jensen Randall. I think he's on a flying lap right now. We will see where he's going to finish. It's qualifying session. We have 1 minute to go until qualifying is over. Currently it is Dion Stahl, last race winner, on pole position, followed by his teammate Sandro Dulis. Then it is Nick van Gelder, Reese March, Lance Lebron, and then Jensen Floyd and Tim Venting. Jensen gets a bit of a drift going there, but Jensen and Tim haven't set a lap time yet. It's the only two drivers, but I believe there is going to be a lap time soon here from Jensen. Obviously, he needs not have invalidated somewhere along the lines of that. Let's see. So he's coming into the straight line section here. I don't know if there's any more drivers on a fast lap. I would imagine there could be, but qualifying time is going to run out now. So this is the last chance for each driver who is on a flying lap. I think Dion is on a flying lap. Let's see who is the furthest in front. Sandro. I don't think he can improve. Oh, and Jensen gets a little sideways. So Jensen is going to be the next one coming across the line for his only lap time of today's qualifying session. Into the final corner. Keeps it steady. Oh, there's a little bit of a tail whack going on there. He's going to come across the line. Is it going to be a lap time that is not invalidated? It is, but it is 12 seconds slower than a pole position. And right now, I think Nick is going to be our next car to come across the line. Oh, sorry, Reese, not Nick. And then it is going to be Lance who's following close. So Reese March across the line is going to be improvement. It is an improvement, but it doesn't improve his position. What about Lance? He comes across the line. It isn't going to improve anything here in terms of positions. Next is Nick van Gelder. Has he had a good lap? He comes across the line. He's 1.9 seconds down on pole position. Is he going to get closer? He is, but it's not enough. Now is the last man to the last corner now. So can this be a good lap from the Dutch driver? It is going to be his only lap. And he is going to be the last one to cross the line. So let's see. I don't know if... no. So Tim invalidated on his final run there. So qualifying order is Dion Stahl on pole position, and I just saw Rob Small joined as well, so he's going to be racing as well, but he's going to be starting way at the back. But Dion Stahl on pole position with a 1:56.455, which is the fastest time today. Then it is Sandro Dulis on a 1:57.7, so he's 1.2 seconds behind. But he's in second place. Then Nick van Gelder in third. Reese March is going to be starting P4. Lance Lebron in P5. Jensen Randall, who joined mid-qualifying, did get to post a lap, but it is nothing to be impressed about, I think. He's going to be starting 6th. Then Tim Venting in P7, but he's going to have a grid place penalty, so I would imagine he's going to be starting behind Rob Small, who's going to be probably starting in P7. But let's get into the race here and see what happens. So I might have seen that, so let's jump to the back of the grid now. So running order is going to be on, like, from the start. It is going to be Dion Stahl starting at the front. P2 is Sandro Dulis, and it is Nick van Gelder in P3. Reese March in P4. Lance Lebron P5, Jensen Randall in P6, and Tim Venting is going to round off the starting grid. So we are just waiting for the Formation lap, obviously. And then we're going to head on to 1.2 hours of Road America. And that's going to be quite enjoyable, I think. So let's see. Should be starting any second now. It always takes a little bit of time to sync the racing here. And so we're going to have to wait. So we are sitting here waiting right now. But let's run through as they get going here, let's run through the championship order and where we are going to have a battle. So Vasilios Balistiotis, as we discussed earlier on in practice, he's not able to lose the championship now, so he is still our champion. Then we are going to have a battle for P2 between Sandro Dooley's, Reese March and Dion Stahl. And with today's race, it is still mathematically possible for Nick van Gelder to also be in that battle for P2, but he does need to take top spot, and everyone else needs to either get disqualified, obviously, but regardless, then we also have a battle for, I think it is P3 as I just see it. It is between Reese March, Dion Stahl, Nick van Gelder and Lance Lebron. So there is a bit of a battle going through the order here in the championship. Then Tim Venting, he will be trying. He needs to finish second or higher in order to take P7 away from Rob Small in the Drivers' Championship. But it is still possible mathematically, but very unlikely. But a battle for P2, a battle for P3 in the driver's standings right now, and we are going to have one heck of a race here. And right now it is Dion Stahl, who is in P4, who is the lowest of the drivers, who actually is in a battle for P2, who is starting on pole position. Then it is Sandro, who is leading in P2. He's going to be starting in second, and then Nick van Gelder has made it a little bit easier for himself, getting in front of Reese. So there's going to be quite a lot of battling going across here. And I think, yeah, Nick van Gelder has already picked up a 5-second time penalty on this formation lap. So he must have overtaken under this formation lap. But that is to be accounted for as well. So 5-second penalty for Nick van Gelder. We haven't even gotten started yet. But he is, that is a little bit unfortunate. It is going to play into how things finish off, but hopefully at the end is not going to cost him any positions in the championship. But we are almost through this formation lap, and we will be hoping that they can get a clean getaway. Obviously P2 always in the best seat, as he's going to have slipstream and he can play it a little bit smart by dropping back and then accelerating, having the overspeed coming into turn 1, as P1 has a speed limit that the car needs to stay under. But we are going to get ready here. They're going to come through the final corner to start part 2 of round 6, I believe it is. Yeah, part 2 of round 6 in this SRL URL prototype racing series. It's going to be Dion who's leading us onto the first lap. So here we go. And we are going green here. And it seems... Oh, Nika's got a really good jump on Sandro. Can he get the jump on Dion in P1? But Nika's got the jump on Sandro. He runs a little bit wide there. Oh, and Dion has run very wide there. Does he rejoin the track? He is in P3 now. Sandro has taken back Nick, so he's in P1. Nick up into P2. Then it is Reese March who's also jumped Dion as Dion ran wide. Then it is Lance, Tim and Jensen. So a clean start. Clean start here from the beginning as they barrel towards turn 3. What are we going to watch here? Reese goes for the move. Oh, he's going to break himself. Oh dear. and he has outbroken himself. He didn't hit anyone, but it has made it possible for Nick to jump back up into P1, as Sandro had to avoid the high-class racing car coming flying down his inside. And there has been a bit of a mix-up here. So Tim Venting right now has moved up into P4. And it is Lance. He's going to pounce on Tim. Ooh! They're rubbing doors. And now Reese is going to have... Oh, he had a look at Lance there. But a good battle there, as we have a battle for the lead as well. So there has been a shake-up in the order. Lance looks very, very feisty. Wanting to overtake. Ooh, but he runs wide. Can he avoid a big crash? He can, and here comes Jensen Randall on Reese March. Oh, he got pushed onto the grass there. You have to leave a space. He goes for the move on. Oh, there. We run steep. So Lance takes back P5. Reese has made a mistake. And now Sandro and Nick are battling. Look at this. This is a hectic start, but it's a very clean one. So on to lap 2. Dion dives into the pits here, so he must have damage from that lap 1. Sandro takes the lead away from Nick van Gelder. Tim is up into P3. Very, very, very clean first lap. Tim up into P3. Then it is Lance LeBron, followed by Jensen Randall, who's running without a setup. Oh, but he half spins it. Here comes Reese. Can he pounce? And he's going to overtake Jensen. Meanwhile, there is a battle for both P2 and P3. I think P3 is a little bit closer. And Lance goes to... I think this is the outside. Yeah, he does. But he gets in front of Tim Venting, so he's up into P3 now. Good overtake there from Lance. Both of them run a little bit wide there, but a really strong overtake from Lance. Good stuff there. So he's up into P3, and he needs to see if he can catch up with his teammate in front, who has lost touch with Sandro here. And Dion has a penalty of 5 seconds as well now. This is really, really, really unfortunate for Dion. Not the best standpoint in terms of keeping his fighting for P2 in the championship. Oh, but Tim has he got some problems now? Or did he just run a little bit wide? Reese is now behind him, and he's very close. Let's see. Ooh, takes up quite a lot of curb there. And Reese is going to have to run on the orange LMP2 here. Does he dive it down, or does he stay behind? He stays behind for now. Really good stuff here. Nick has fallen back from Sandro, but it seems like he's able to keep up, so that's good for him. Right now, Reese is all over the back of Tim Venting here. Gets a good run there. What is Tim gonna do? He goes to the inside for turn 1. They come down, start, finish straight. Oh, and Tim squeezes Reese there. Cones are flying absolutely everywhere, and he needs to be careful now. But it seems like they get it sorted out. Tim keeps in front in P4. Now Jensen Randall is behind them. He's able to keep up with these two. Oh, and look at this. Oh, Tim very slow through that second corner there. And right now Jensen is in front of Reese. Excuse me. And it looks like... Oh, and Tim is flashing his lights here. I don't know what that's all about. Jensen goes for the dive. Oh, and they rub doors, and Reese runs into the back of Tim yet again. But Jensen Randall up into P4. Look at that. Oh, no! And Tim obviously doesn't seem like he was happy about what Jensen did in the previous corner, so he's absolutely sent it up the inside of Jensen Randall there. And has pushed him out wide, down into P6 again. Now Reese is ready to pounce. Seems like Venting has some sort of problem here, because the two cars behind him are very, very much faster. And he now has... oh, Reese got in front. I missed that. Randall is basically pushing Venting through the corners. So it seems like Tim has some sort of aerodynamical issue. This is very interesting. But he is able to keep up with Reese. Oh, but he runs deep! Oh dear, this is where he had some trouble in practice as well, that specific corner. Oh no. He's spun it on his re-entry and has lost his rear wing. And here is Dion. He's gonna overtake Tim. So Tim right now is out of the run for that 7th place in the driver's standings. Meanwhile, Jensen Randall is still on the back of Reese March somewhat. This is the closest battle that we have right now, as the gap in front of Reese is very close to 10 seconds. Lance has been doing really good stuff here. He is closing in on his teammate in front. But Jensen Randall, he is only 1.3 seconds behind Reese March, and I believe these two are actually karting mates in real life, so they know each other very well. Oh, a little bit of a tank slap there from Randall's car. But it doesn't seem like... It does seem like his lack of a setup is not doing him any favor here. So that is very unfortunate. Yeah, outbraking himself there again. And Reese has now pulled a gap of 2.6 seconds now. So he has cleared him. But Reese up into P4 right now. And that is good for him, because right now that means he keeps P3 in the driver's standings with Sandro leading. Obviously it does mean that Sandro currently, as it stands right now, is in P2 in the driver's standings. Nick still not that far behind, but it seems like he might have made a mistake somewhere along the last lap, because he has lost some time to Sandro and Lance has managed to close up to him, so there must have been a mistake there. Right now Lance in P3, really good position for him, but he is looking very feisty in terms of possibly catching P2. And it would mean, if he overtakes Nick, it does mean that he moves up to P5, possibly. It depends on where Dion finishes, obviously, because he can still get P4 and possibly even P3 if he is very lucky. And right now Dion is in P6. Tim is serving a very, very long pit stop here. And Lance, barely 4 seconds gap to Nick. So the race has settled down slightly. And seems like Sandro is in control right now. He is looking very, very keen on taking victory here. The closing victory of this championship this season. That would be a very good morale boost for him for next season, when he for sure is going to be back with another LMP2 team. Nick is losing significant time here. He is now 9.2 seconds behind Sandro, so Sandro has really turned it up to 11 in order to try and bridge a gap. We can see Lance in the background there of when we are filming Nick, so top 3 are still only covered by 14 seconds, so that is crucial. Meanwhile Reese sitting in P4. You can see Jensen Randall there. He has pulled a gap of 4.2 seconds to Jensen. So there is no threat from behind, nor is he threatening anyone in front right now, Reese. And he will just be looking to running his own race right now. I think. Meanwhile, the gap out in front is growing slightly, lap by lap, and it seems like the gap between P2 and P3 has stabilized to around 3 seconds. It seems, although it did go down slightly there, it was 4 seconds, right now it is 3.3. So Lance is putting the pressure on Nick in case Nick makes a mistake, and Tim Venting has retired from the race. So another unfortunate incident there for Tim Venting, outbraking himself into one of the last corners. I believe it is the penultimate corner, and then once he rejoined the track, he applied throttle a little too fast, and that resulted to a spin into the wall, lost his rear wing, and was stuck in the pits for quite some time. So yeah, that's very unfortunate. It does mean he keeps P8 in the standings, so that is for sure now. Meanwhile, we are following Lance here, trying to keep up with his teammate, and he is doing really well right now. Gap is staying around 3.5, around 3.5 to 4 seconds. Fluctuates depending on where they are on track. As you can see, I would imagine Nick has just come through a corner right now, and Lance, yeah, as you can see. So it is around those 4 seconds, but I can see that Reese has been closing. So I say that he's been closing up. I was just about to say that, but he does take a spin there. A little bit unfortunate. And where is Dion? Coming through the same corner when Reese spun. So we're going to have a battle for P4 here. So this is going to be interesting. And of course, these two are going to be teammates in the upcoming GT3 series. I believe, at least, that is how it goes. I need to double check that. But as far as I know, these two are going to be teammates. Oh, but Reese runs a little bit deep there. Dion doesn't run as deep. Oh, and Reese let him pass there. Don't know why he's done that. That's interesting. But Dion up into P4 right now. So he is slowly driving himself back into this race, and Jensen Randall is not actually that far behind Reese. He is a mere 3 seconds behind. So I would say that is really good from someone who doesn't have a setup on his car. But it seems like Dion is pulling away slightly from Reese match. And I don't actually know. Jensen Randall is still there, but he is not catching up. Meanwhile, out in front, gap is now up to 12.5 seconds, and the gap between third and second is 4 seconds, as it has been for pretty much the whole time. So, yeah, as I was discussing before, when Dion and Reese was battling, they are going to be teammates for the GT3 series, and if I'm not mistaken, I think they're going to be in the McLaren, I believe. So let's see. Yeah, they're going to be in the McLaren 650S GT3, both of them. So look forward to that, to seeing those two being teammates. They have a really good partnership, so seems like it is very obvious for those two to be teammates. And yeah, Dion as well. But if we take a look at Nick van Gelder, who we have on screen right now, we can just discuss this because there is not really any battling going on right now. I say that Nick might have made a mistake somewhere. I didn't catch that. I wasn't looking. The gap is now significantly shrunken. It was barely 3 seconds ago. Okay. So maybe a little bit of a oversteer moment for Nick, but nothing major. But Nick van Gelder is going to be in the Renault Sport RS01 right now. So that is... Look forward to seeing him in the Renault. I believe this is the second time he's going to be driving for Renault, as he also has driven for Renault, I believe, in the Formula 1 series. Oh, but we have someone who has disconnected. Oh, I think... Who was that? Lance has disconnected, it seems. Oh dear. So, what has happened here? Lance LeBron is no longer on track. Dion is up into P3. I think Lance has disconnected. Oh my goodness. What is going on here? So, let's try and see if we can get him into this little chat room here, because he's not on the track anymore. Alright, so it does seem like Lance isn't online anymore, so he might have disconnected because of some internet issues from his side, because I don't believe it is because of the lobby, because his PSN profile doesn't appear online, so he has lost internet connection somehow. I don't know how. If he comes online again, I will try to get him into this call. Wow. So this is a little bit interesting. So Lance is out of the running for P3. Dion moves up into P3 now. Reese up into P4. Jensen Randall up into P5. And I don't actually know. I think that just means... So Lance is going to finish P6 as it is. And he's still going to score points for that position. So that, I believe, is 3 points. And that means he's going to keep P6 in the standings, but yeah, he's not going to move up in the standings. So another driver who we can conclude on where he's going to finish in the Drivers' Championship. He's going to finish P6. Coming back to the GT3 series coming up in 2 weeks. Speaking about Lance, we can talk about his car of choice. It is going to be the Ferrari 88 GT3, and then of course myself, I'm going to be in the Lamborghini Huracan GT3, and the man in picture right now on screen, Sandro Dulis, is going to do the commentary for you. So hopefully you are looking forward to hearing from him. But I'm going to really quickly go check if Lance is online still, or if he's come online again, and then try to get him in. Alright, so it does seem like Lance LeBron has come online again. I have sent him an invite, so we'll see if he joins at some point. And here is Lance.
Yep.
Talk us through it, because it seems like the internet on your internet died there, or what was it?
It wasn't my internet. The PlayStation Network signed me out randomly.
Ah, okay.
I've never had that happen before, but it signed me out, and I had to go back in and reconfirm all my privacy settings, and then it let me back in. But really, really, really disappointing.
Yeah, I would imagine, because you were running in P3. It is going to be P6 for you today, unfortunately. But it seemed like you were closing in on Nick, or is that just... you were having a good battle there, like who was the fastest of your... like you two? Because at one point it seemed like you were closing up massively to him, but then he pulled the gap again, and Was it a little bit back and forth there?
He got a little bit of aero damage and some slight suspension damage on the formation lap because he wasn't paying attention. And he was kind of struggling with that for a little while, and obviously there was a lot of the first lap of the race, everybody was a little touch and go since we were trying to avoid any calamities. And once we got through the melees of the opening lap and everybody gapped out a little bit, he was definitely losing a little bit of time on the straightaways because of the aero damage. But he did get a good handle on the car after having to adjust to the suspension. So I was closing in on him. Sandro was pulling a gap on Nick while I was closing in on him, but he wasn't pulling a whole lot of a gap on me. So the car felt really good for a change. I like Road America. I was really having a good run, and I felt like I could have had a podium today for sure, probably another third place, and
yeah,
what it is.
Yeah, and obviously, personally, I've had the issue you talked about where it signs you out. I've only had it a couple of times, but but we have a battle for P2 right now. Nick has dropped back, and Dion has just overtaken him. Reese is right behind him. He's going for an overtake here. Oh my. So Nick has made a mistake somewhere, and now Dion and Reese have overtaken him. I don't know if you're probably not in the lobby anymore, are you?
No, I'm completely gone.
Okay, so obviously it would be nice if you could commentate along, but I suppose, yeah.
But also the other thing too is Nick has got 5-second penalty, and I think Dion's got a 5-second penalty as well if they haven't served him yet. And that was going to be really helpful for me at the end.
Yeah, they still do have their 5 seconds, mainly because they have got them and haven't stopped after they received the penalties. So I don't know if you can do stop goes here, or like take penalties when you are in the pits, but
I don't know either. I haven't had one.
Well, I suppose that's a good way. That's a good thing that you don't know it then. But right now, Dion up into P2. Reese is following very close. Dion runs a little bit deep there, and Reese is still on his back, 9/10 behind. Sandro is in a commanding lead. He's half a minute in front. So
Sandro did have an off though at Canada Corner, so he did have an off and got put into the wall. So he's got left front suspension damage as well. So we'll see how long that takes to take effect. And Jensen's got a handle on the car now and the track layout. He hadn't been on this track before, but he's done some LMP2 racing, so he's got a handle on the track now. He was running 2-minute flats. I think his best lap that I heard was a 2:06, and that was him closing down. That was him getting a handle on everything. So I think his times are just going to drop, and he's also on the hard tires as well. So he's going to switch over to the softs after his first stop. I was actually running on softs and wasn't having any temperature issues. So
okay, so it seems like the tires can go a distance even if you're running on the softest compound.
Yeah, it wasn't like Sonoma where we had a lot of tire temperature issues. The track, I think because it's relatively smooth and a lot of straightaway, the tires have a chance to cool down on the back stretch and the front stretch. And most of the corners are fairly, you know, the ones that are slower, tires aren't getting stressed too much. It's the carousel that seems to heat up that left front a little bit, but as soon as you come out of the carousel, you go through the kink and you're on that back stretch, so the tire can cool back down again. So softs were working pretty well, and I think Jensen, once he makes his first pit stop and switches over to the softs, that's going to be he's probably going to light it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So he'll definitely be able to work his way through the field.
Yeah, and his I can see that his fastest lap time is at 2 minutes flat basically, and it is 8/10 faster than Nick's fastest lap. So he, as you say, he has a grip on the car right now. It seems he must have had an off, or it could be because he has got lapped by Sandro, but his last lap was a 2:51. But Sandro did lap him in the last lap, so that could also explain it. But we will see once he comes across the line. He is in the penultimate corner, so he's going to come across the line soon. And right now Sandro is running 1:58.5.
That's a really good lap time, so...
really strong laps, and he is the fastest car out on track right now. Second to him is Dion, who's behind him, but and his last lap was Sandro's last lap was 1 minute 58.9, and yeah, it was because Jensen was having to let Sandro pass. His last lap was a 2 minute 2, so yeah. It was because he was getting lapped, I suppose, but he doesn't have a setup, I would imagine, as well, Jensen.
No, I don't think he had much of a setup going into it. Definitely just pretty much a... Oh, here we go, I can do this, can't I?
So a baseline setup for Jensen Randall, and I've actually tried a baseline setup. It was for Long Beach, which I would imagine is one of the tracks that is crucial to have a setup on, but the standard setup, it's not too bad, but it is kind of understeering in some corners and oversteering in some corners, so for him to have this much pace, I would say, is pretty decent, actually.
Well, I'm just bringing up the live stream on my phone so I can actually semi-participate here.
You are going to be slightly behind, I think, but I don't know how much, actually.
Should only be a couple seconds once it actually something running.
Well, it should be good enough to work with, I think. And right now, Sandro, as Dion has got into P2, Sandro is only maintaining the gap right now. It is still 33.3 seconds, but it stayed that for the last 3 laps, so I think that is also a testimony to, well, in case that Dion doesn't have any suspension damage, obviously, that Sandro is able to go faster with a perfect car, I would imagine.
Well, Dion's proven all season that he's been really quick in these LMP2.
Oh, I think Sandro's had
really well.
Oh, Sandro he has had a little bit of a moment there. Dropped to 26 seconds, and Jensen Randall has also caught up to him. He was a couple of, I think it was 10 seconds behind, but Sandro has dropped some time. So the last corner he might have had a trouble there. Oh dear. Hopefully not something that has given him significant damage. Oh, the car is a little bit twitchy, it seems, under acceleration, so we can jump on board with him to see if he has some... Oh, sorry. The cockpit cam to see how his steering is in the car, if he has to do some opposite lock or some catching of the car. It seems very steady, so it might just be some... he might just have had a little bit of a moment. And right now, what lap times are they running? So Sandro's last lap was a 2 minute 6, and Dion's last lap was a 1:57.1, so... Oh, we could have another Dion victory on our hands here if this continues this way. Reese, his last lap was a 2 minute flat. Jensen and Nick also in the 2 minutes. Nick in 2 minutes 9. Jensen in a 2 minute 1.
You can see Sandro lost a huge chunk of time.
Yeah. He's losing a bit though. He
goes through Canada corner very wide again too.
It seems like if there's damage, which I would imagine there has been, it is producing understeer for him. And right now the gap is coming down. What was his last lap time? He comes across the lines, we can check. His last lap was a 2 minute 1.4. So not a bad lap time. Dion is heading into the final corners. We're going to compare lap times here. The gap is now down to 23.4 seconds. Let's see, Dion, he's coming up towards the line now. His lap time is a 1 minute 57.6, so
yeah, he's definitely closing the gap on Sandro.
almost 4 seconds. I think it's greater than 4 seconds actually. No, it's just under 4 seconds. It's 3.8 seconds per lap. Gap is now down to 22.4. Alone in sector 1, or the first 2 corners actually, so Sandro might need to come into the pits soon and fix that, so because he has been faster it seems than his teammate. Obviously, I think it was actually Dion who I think he was behind you in qualifying when he got a little bit of a slipstream to help him.
Oh yeah, he slipstreamed off of me the whole freaking lap and went like something ridiculous, like 156. I mean, I was able to run. I was able to do it to him on the lap after, a couple laps after. I was able to slipstream off of him a little bit. I went 159, so Dion's really quick regardless. But he blew his lead going into that turn 1 on the first lap. He went real wide and opened up the door for everybody. So he's been kind of doing damage control, trying to get back towards the front. A little bit of a comeback drive.
Yeah.
You can see how much time Sanders losing to Jensen there. Jensen really in that green car.
They're running
at this point.
They're basically running similar lap times. Sandro is a mere 2/10 faster each lap, seems. Oh, I say that. Wait, Nick has gone into the pits. Oh, I got messed up there because yeah, Jensen is. He's roughly 1 second behind Sandro when it comes to lap time. So, but yeah, and Dion gap is now 20.7 seconds, so it is coming significantly down. It seems like mostly in corners where you have to do a lot of turn-in, like turn 1, 2, 3, I think 4 as well, is the places where Sandro loses time, and also the last couple of corners. But it seems like he's able to keep up the pace through the fast-flowing corners.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's affected too much through the carousel or the kink, or the dog leg, if you will.
Yeah.
And, but corners like turn 2 and Canada corner, definitely he's been struggling at Canada corner a lot coming off of the backstretch. He, like I said, he struggled in race when I was in there with him. He had some damage to the left front. We saw a couple laps ago. He blew the corner and outbraked himself again. So Canada corner seems to be his Achilles heel at this track.
And if you would explain, because I'm not too much into American tracks, unfortunately, when you say Canada corner, which corner are you referring to?
That is going to be the corner that he is coming up to now. You got this little wavy backstretch, and then you come down here and you got this hard braking, and then this right-hander right here. This is Canada corner.
Okay.
And there you see he does it again. He runs a little wide. He gets out on those curbs and into the grass. So that's Canada corner. Then you got this left-hander up here that you can take flat out if you turn in soon enough. And then turn 3, the last corner here, you want to get a good corner or a good entry speed into and try and carry it through. And he's going to head into the pits.
Yeah, he's going to come into the pits. He's had enough of this. Well, I would imagine it's mainly because of the damage, and he is also seeing what we are seeing, that his teammate is, well, closing up to him significantly. So Dion is going to inherit the lead now. Sandro is going to have some mechanical work done to his car, but once he comes out, he's going to be, well, flying, I would imagine. And I think Reese is going to move up into P2 right now. So, yeah, there he goes. Jensen Randall, he is a lap behind Sandro, so he needs to complete a whole lap before he can catch up. And then, obviously, Neek, who has... I don't know what has happened to Neek, actually. We haven't been spectating him for quite a while, and it seems like he's picked up some damage right now. And he's been running in last for quite some time now. He was running in P2, actually catching up to Sandro at some points, but it's just gone downhill, it seems. What are your thoughts?
Sorry about that.
No problem. Oh, look at this. So, Jensen Randall, who's in P4, is going to lap Neek, who was in P2, but he's dropped massively back now. Oh my.
It looks like Nick's got damage again.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to say, but it looks like a carbon copy of the wet race we did 2 weeks ago, unfortunately, where he was very unfortunate to keep spinning and lost the lead. Eventually, he's going to head into the pits as well. Oh my, so... Oh, is he? Yeah, he is. He's going to head into the pits. So... But right now, Sandro back out on track. Gap to Reese is 51 seconds. The gap to his teammate Dion is 1 minute and 3 seconds. So he has got work to do. But I think he has made his... This is his first pit stop. I believe. We've done 19 laps.
Yeah, that is his first pit stop, and I don't know if you want to say that was a scheduled one or if it was just couldn't deal with the damage on the car anymore. I mean, with these endurance races, I feel like it's better to pit early to fix the car and hope for the best, because the later you go, the more time you lose on track.
Yeah.
Nick is saying that the AI randomly took over his car. He's not controlling it anymore.
Oh, so... Oh, there's more problems here, so... I don't know what's happening here. So he's heading out of the pits now.
So is the...
Is it him or is it Neekbot who's driving right now? That's what I'm wondering.
This game is just...
It's something else, let's say it that way. But it seems like it is an AI who could be driving the car. It is very, very slow.
Yes, it is extremely slow.
I don't think it is Neek who's driving this car.
Wow, this game just...
It never fails to like surprise in a bad way. Let's say, like
surprise in a bad way is a good way to put it.
I think that would be the best way, because we've had like, obviously it is our first season here on this game on Project Cars. Apart if you don't count the Indy 500 races that we have done yearly, but this is the first full series on Project Cars that we've ever held. And yes, a first season is always going to be a little bit tumultuous if you want to see a little bit of... There's going to be some small issues everywhere, but I would never have imagined having so many problems with this game, even as a first seasoner, because when we started Formula 1 back in 2016, there wasn't even this many problems in the first season of Formula 1, so... And bear in mind, that was on F1 2014, a game which by many is regarded as the worst game by Codemasters. Well, apart from F1 2015, but we don't talk about that. So
yes,
right now...
and it's driving really slow, he is correct. Yeah, it's I mean, you're right. I mean, every league, you start as a new league or you start a new series on a new game. Yeah, there's always going to be some growing pains with it, and I think we talked about that pretty in depth back at Daytona after that race.
I think so. Yeah.
And we both had that kind of an understanding that, you know, as we get going in this series here a little bit, we'll understand the game more and how to set it up. But it's just every race there seems to be some sort of anomaly that shouldn't exist. I mean, how many times has, you know, I mean, Tim disconnected for no apparent reason? I mean, PlayStation signs me out. I've never had that happen, and of course it's going to happen while I'm playing Project Cars. Now we've got a driver swap for Nick for some reason. Plus, not to mention back at Daytona, he couldn't change his tires, and then Vasilios couldn't add fuel to his car at Sonoma. I mean, it's just every round it's been something new, and it seems like no matter what you do to try and prepare yourself as best as possible for what could happen, the game throws some other weird anomaly at you that you can't even prepare for.
Neek is back into the pit, or well, Neek's car is back into the pits. I don't know if it's Neek who's back into the pits. Might be.
I would hope that they would swap Nick back in. I don't even know what to say. I mean, this game is just...
I don't know if you even know if you can do driver swaps with an AI. I believe it might be a feature, but only for offline career mode. But I'm not sure. Yeah, Dion has now pitted. Reese is up into P1, but that's only for the time being. Sandro, he is coming through. I believe this is the carousel, the long sweeping right-hander, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, that would be the carousel. Yes.
Okay, so he's gonna come up. I don't know how much damage Dion needs to have repaired, but it could be that Sandro takes the position away from his teammate. But Reese right now out in P1.
I'm sure Reese didn't think he would find himself there later in this race. He was really struggling with the car a little bit. Finally, it looks like he got a little bit of a handle on it.
Yeah, his last lap was actually just as good as Sandro, so it seems like he has, or it's a little bit better. Sandro did a 2-minute .680, and Reese did a 2-minute .653, so it's not a lot of difference, but Sandro is going to take P2 just. Dion is coming out of the pits right now. Sandro just heading through zone 1, so we're going to have a battle between teammates. And
Nick has verified that he's got control of his car again, so...
Okay, so...
We'll see what he can do in the time remaining, but he's got a lot of time to have to try and make up.
Yeah, the closest car to him is Jensen Randall, who is 4 minutes and 8 seconds in front of him, so... But, yeah... he's just going to have to grind away because he never knows what is going to happen. And I think...
I mean, exactly. I mean, it's like we were talking about. I mean, there's so many issues with this game. You're right. You don't know what's going to happen. I mean, anybody could inexplicably get kicked. Somebody puts themselves into a wall, and it looks like Reese is going to dive into the pits now. So Sandro's going to find himself back in the lead of this race. Possibly.
Yeah, possibly. I was thinking that Reese could have hoped for the two teammates getting to battle, but obviously I'm just looking at his fuel load coming into the pits. It was only at 3.4, so I mean, you can't really do many laps on 3.4 liters in these cars.
Especially around this track, because this is a 4-mile track, so he probably would have gotten another lap and a half out of it.
And also, as you said early on when we were talking about Sandro's issues in terms of the track, there's a lot of straights on this track, so the car is going to be running at max revs at a lot of the time.
Yeah, I mean, you're flat out on a lot of this track for sure, and I mean, even corners like the carousel, even turn 1. Turn 1 is a very deceptive corner because you can take it a lot faster than you think you can. And you're only off the throttle a little bit heading into the corner, then you're right back to smashing it, and then you got turn 2, you know, that's hard braking, and then you're back on the gas again all the way down to, I think what they actually classify as turn 5, because of the couple of bends in the straightaway there after turn 2, but
yeah,
it's effectively turn 3, that hard left-hander.
But it seems like we could have an interesting battle boiling here. Reese is now out of the pits. He is... I'm just trying to figure out where he is compared to the others. He's only 12 seconds behind Dion, who is only a further 5 seconds behind Sandro, and closing up significantly. Like, that's... We're gonna have a battle, it seems, and if the two front runners keep battling, it could mean that Reese could close up. So this is very interesting, and I've just seen this, but Jensen Randall is actually, I didn't even know this, but like Jensen Randall is actually on the same lap as the three front guys, and he is only 27 seconds behind the leader, which is 9 seconds behind Reese. So he is technically still in this race. And I think that is mainly down to his brilliant last lap, which was 1:59.7, the fastest of the last lap runners. So that's really good from him.
Is Nick finally coming out of the pits?
I don't know what's happening.
Nick has been out. Nick has been out of the pits. I'm sorry.
He is now.
He's very slow again, though.
There is some sort of problem here with this car. I don't know what it is, but he is on the racing line, which I think this is turn 1. Might be. I'm not sure. Where is this? Oh, there's the map. Yeah, he is in turn 1 on the exit, so he is... I don't know if he might be in a blind spot here. Let's watch. Sandro comes through the corner. It seems like Nika's got it going again. That's good. But he is significantly down right now. He's 6 minutes and 20 seconds behind Jensen Randall in P4.
I mean, I know he came over the live chat and said he had regained control of the car, and ooh, you can see how freaking slow he is going down that straightaway.
Yeah, he might have some... I don't know what it is. So has he just waited for Sandro to try and get some help getting into the race again or something? I don't know.
It's going to put him another lap down. I mean, Nick's day is basically done at this point. I mean, even if the front runners do run into some issues at this point, the time remaining in the race,
yeah,
he's not going to be able to make it up. I mean, he's basically almost 3 laps down at this point.
He is actually, to Sandro, he is 4 laps down right now. So, he's not had the best of days. Let's just say it that way. That is, I think that's a mild way of saying it. And I could imagine it's really annoying because he mathematically was able to take Dion and Reese, but it doesn't look like he is going to be overtaking them in the standings. So, but still time to go. Oh, and Nico's deep there into Canada corner. Oh dear.
I don't know if he's just trying to keep pace with Sandro for something to do, or he's just still continuing to struggle with that car.
Yeah, I honestly don't know at this point. Gap out in front is 4.6 seconds between Dion and Sandro. So gap is coming down. What was the last lap time? Dion was 4/10 faster, so he is closing down that gap. Meanwhile, Reese, he is 16.5 seconds behind, so doesn't seem like he's able to keep up with 2 Cadillac cars out in front, Sandro and Dion. And yeah, his lap time was a whole second slower than Sandro's, who was the slowest of the 2 leaders. So he is not able to keep up.
Super disappointing, because I'd probably be battling with Reese right now for the 3rd spot.
Or even possibly... You could say possibly... I don't know. It is very hard to say. Oh, Sandro spun it! No, 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 no! Oh, no.
Oh, wow, look at that. Yep, he's off.
So Dion inherits the lead again, and this time it is... Like, what do you call it? It is... actually for the lead. It's not just for the time being. It is actually the lead right now.
Big mistake by Sandro, and he's going to be kicking himself in the butt for that one.
Definitely. It does not mean that he loses 2nd place in the driver standings right now, but obviously you want to win, you want to beat your teammate. And right now he's lost a huge heap of time. Gap was briefly down to 10 seconds to Reese, but he's gone back up to 13. He has pulled the gap again. So, big mistake there from Sandro, unfortunately. Oh, and Nika spun now. So that car is giving him all sorts of trouble, seems. I don't think... I mean, even as you say, even if you should not, you should never say never, but I think at this point, it is going to be a never for Nick, unfortunately. Even though...
I mean, to be fair, I mean...
Ooh, he runs wide. Oh, he misses the wall there. Oh, dear. Yeah.
Oh, that's close. I mean, to be fair, I mean, I generally don't give up for any reason during a race. I mean, even last week's rain-soaked Road America race. I mean,
yeah.
I wanted to rage quit at one point, but I fought through it, and I still came home 3rd, which was because other people decided that they were going to rage quit. So,
Yeah.
Never say never, but as far as any type of competitive racing for Nick this round it's out of the question. The only thing he can do is hope that the other guys have more misfortune in the last 25 minutes of this race.
I think right now the only thing he is hoping for is a stable car as he runs onto the grass again there with a bit of a tank slapper, almost losing the car. And yeah, I think he understeers into the carousel there. That's not good. Gap is now, there's a gap decrease in front, 1.9 seconds, and Dion still has that 5-second time penalty. So Sandro is still technically in the lead right now, as long as he doesn't fall 5 seconds or more behind his teammate. He is still going to take the victory. So
even so, though, you still want to be the first one across the line regardless, even if you know the guy's got a time penalty in front of you. It's not the same unless you're the one crossing the line first.
Yeah, I would imagine. It's not so often that I've got to, or had the pleasure of crossing the line first. I've only done that twice in SRL, unfortunately, but yeah, I do know what it feels like to cross the line ahead of the guy who is technically going to be behind you. As well, no, I'm actually saying some gibberish here. I've only crossed the line in P1 once, and that was in Canada Season 1. In Monaco it was actually in P3, but it's going to be carbon copy of what could happen to Dion, a time penalty.
Oh, excuse me for a second.
No problem. So yeah, I don't have a heap of experience in terms of that, but crossing the line first, but I do know how good it feels to win a race, and yeah, I hope Sandro, regardless of how he finishes the race, he can be happy with the position if he wins it. But we still have 22 minutes to go, so we're gonna have oh no, Sandro spun it again just before the carousel there. Oh, and Nika spun it as well, exact same spot. So that corner seems to be playing a lot of tricks yet again. Right now, gap between Reese and Sandro is 8.6 seconds. And it has grown straight away to 9 seconds, it seems. So Sandro already pulling a gap. We haven't been talking much about this guy, but Jensen Randall has been running a very, very good race. Very smooth race, no real troubles here. He is only 12 seconds behind Reese, who's in P3, so hopefully for him he can close up to Reese and they get his first podium in the LMP2 series, because that would give him a huge boost for next season if he is coming back. Oh, but he is coming into the pits for his first stop, I believe it is. He is gonna filter out in P4 once he is out again. Meanwhile, at the front, gap is coming down yet again, I think. Oh, I don't think. No, I was just wondering if Dion had some trouble there. Doesn't look like he has it. Sandro is pushing every single bolt of that car to try and close up to his teammates. And the sun is starting to set, it seems, and that means we're gonna have a bit of a night run here as well. As you can see, sun is setting, getting darker, a little bit more darker, but it's not there quite yet. So while we actually sit here and nothing is really happening right now, I think we're going to take a lap of Road America on board with your current race leader, Dion Star. So I'm going to be quiet and we're going to jump on board. And that was a lap of Road America on board with Dion Stahl. And it wasn't the fastest lap of the race, but it was a really good lap. Gap is coming down, however, to the car behind, it seems. And meanwhile, we were on board with Dion. Nick decided to retire the car, so I'm gonna see if we can get him into this commentary box. So if you hang on a second, then I'm gonna be back. So he has been invited, we'll see if he joins. So the main reason why, we've just got confirmation on this, the reason why Nick has been left out of the race is actually not because of his him deciding to retire. It was actually because he disengaged the pit limiter tad too early, and the game decided to disqualify him, unfortunately. And unfortunately for him, it does mean that he drops to the bottom of the timing sheets. Oh, as Dion makes a little bit of a mess of that corner there, the Canada corner. But Nick is going to finish last in this race, behind the people who actually did not finish. And it does mean that he is going to drop position to Lance in the Drivers' Championship. So Lance is going to move up into P5 and Nick is going to drop to P6. And that is a very unfortunate turn of events, but it is just how things are. If you get disqualified, you move to the bottom of the participation lists. So, on with the race, I suppose. And we still have Dion in the lead. He is just keeping the gap great enough to keep Sandra behind when they cross the line. It is barely 8 seconds. That means there's still a 3-second gap that Sandra needs to close down if he wants that 5-second time penalty to come into effect for his own good. Let's see through here. Oh, he runs under the grass, so that's not the best way to do that, but he has closed him down. It is down to 6.4, 6.5. So he has made up some time. Meanwhile, in P3 currently, kind of in no man's land, is Reese March, 13 seconds behind Sandro and 1 minute and 16 seconds in front of Jensen Randall, who well and truly is running in no man's land, as he has no one behind him currently challenging him, and there is just around 1 minute and 15 seconds up to the next car. It wasn't race quit. I wouldn't have imagined that as well, Nick, so don't worry. We were talking about that. It could have been some internet issues, but of course the game disqualified you. It wasn't the reason. If you want to, you can come into the commentary box if you feel like it. If you're still watching and you're hearing this, obviously. But yeah. Feel free to come in if you want to. I'll send you an invite, so the offer is still on the table. Meanwhile, Sandro and Dion are trading fastest lap times, it seems. Dion is the fastest car on the previous lap, or he was. Sandro a tiny tad slower, not a lot, but these two are, well, showing true skill here, being so closely matched. And we have Nick van Gelder in the call right now. Hello, Nick.
Yeah, hey, Samuel.
Disqualified, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it does unfortunately mean that, well, I suppose you did hear it, but it does drop your position in the driver standings. But overall a good race until, I don't know what went wrong, but you said you got swapped out of your own car.
Yeah, it was very weird. Yeah, to give you a rundown even from the start, unfortunately on the formation lap, I hit the back of Sandro, so that was completely my fault. I was just not paying attention, so it already damaged my car a bit. So I was a little bit slower, especially on the straight, so I was losing time to Sandro in the first stint already, so that's why I was off the pace. And then when I think I actually, after, I don't know, 15 or 20 minutes, I spun out of the final corner. Which was like my first mistake of the race, but it damaged my car, so I decided to stay out for a couple laps, because I was like, the fuel isn't going to make it to the end if I pit now. But I was really slow. I was doing like 2 minute 10s, about 10 seconds per lap slower.
Yeah.
So I decided to pit at the soonest possible moment to make it to the end.
Okay.
But for some reason, and I actually checked, I think my driver swap was turned off, but I'm gonna look my stream back to see if I might have accidentally bumped it to on. Because I left the pit lane and my AI car took over, which was driving really slowly. And, you know, I actually requested a pit stop to come in, but it still didn't give me control, so I had to request another pit stop, and that time it actually did give me control back, so it was very weird. I think it must be some kind of glitch, but yeah, it of course completely screwed up my race. And to top it off, I accidentally sped in the pit lane, which disqualified me, which I didn't intentionally do, but yeah. It was my race.
It also seems very harsh that you did get disqualified from speeding in the pit lane, but I suppose that is just how penalties work.
Yeah, I think a couple of other drivers had it as well in this game.
Okay.
I think last time I think Tim got disqualified for speeding in the pits, and Long Beach also another guy had it, so it's, yeah, that's just project cars. Okay.
But yeah, right now there's not really much happening. Dion is the fastest man out on track right now. A 1:59.3 was the last lap, so really good lap time. Sandro, a 2 minute 2 minute flat. Reese behind him is did a 2 minute 1, and then Jensen Randall, who is in P4, did a 2 minute flat as well. So. And it seems like Sandro actually has crashed. Oh dear. So Sandro, his front right headlight is not working right now. And he's lost time to his teammate. He has lost time to Reese behind, and it seems like his suspension is broken. We have, well, 9.5 minutes left. Is he gonna brave it out, or does he need to stay out? Does
Can
he
I
need
actually spectate as well?
I don't know. If you're still in the lobby, you should be able to do that.
Yeah, I'm still in.
If Sandro does, he's gonna lose the position regardless. Does he pit? He's gonna lose the position. If he doesn't pit, Reese is gonna catch up to him. So that is actually not what he wants. As ooh, well, this is gonna get close. It could actually mean that Sandro. I don't know. I think he's safe for P2 in the driver standings, as he has one more victory than Reese. So he's going to win on that in terms of the position. But Reese is closing up right now. Gap is 7 seconds. And Reese does not seem to have had any troubles throughout this race. But I might not know everything. I don't know if you can tell me anything, Nick. Has he had some problems?
No, I don't think he has. I'm actually joining into the session again to spectate this time, so I'll be able to watch the race as well. But I don't think Reese has had a pretty clean race, so that's a good job on his one.
And gap is now down to 6 seconds from Sandro to Reese. Dion right now is cruising with a 16, 17, 18. It goes up, up, up. Don't know how big the gap is. 20 seconds, maybe. Oh dear. Reese Reese is now right behind Sandro, basically 1.5 seconds, and I think, oh, this is difficult.
All right, I'm in the session as well to spectate.
All right. So Reese right here, 1.3 seconds. If he doesn't make any mistakes, he could come away with P2 here for today's race. And I think he will be well happy with that. Gap is now under a second.
Yeah, Sandro's losing more time there.
I think that's suspension damage. I don't know if he thinks that his buffer to Jensen Randall behind him is not great enough to actually make a pit stop. And we have some glitched lights in the last corner.
Oh wait, I think I can't actually select.
Oh, Jensen has boxed. Jensen has boxed.
Yeah. I think I'm just automatically like looking at the driver that you're looking at.
Oh, okay.
So I can't choose it myself. I was already a bit confused, but I'm just now looking at Reese. So
Reese right now. Gap is 4/10. So Jensen has spun it somewhere. He lost his rear wing, so he is out of the contention right now.
Yeah.
For P3. But Reese, he needs to make this move fairly soon. But it seems like Sandro has greater top line speed. So let's see.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty interesting battle here for P2.
Here we go into turn 3. I would classify this as.
Yeah, last time out was the double puddle corner, wasn't it?
It was.
Oh, Sandro has spun.
Oh no, Sandro has spun. Oh dear, so Sandro down to P3. He is still in P2. He's still keeping P2 in the championship. I think. He might be wrong.
I think he will, yeah.
So
well, at least he's got a very big gap to Jensen Randall in fourth place.
You know what? Actually, right now, he's bumped down to P3.
Oh,
and that is because Dion holds the fastest lap. Dion right now is sitting on 11 points. Sandro currently is sitting on 6 points. The gap between them, let me see here, is only 4 points. And the gap the points gap between them on track right now is 5 points. So Dion right now is actually, I think, he must be. No, he is in P2 on merit because he has one more victory than Reese if he keeps this one home. Or if he finishes in first, he's going to be in P2. He's going to overtake Reese, but he's also right now going to overtake Sandro. As I see it right now, so this shakes up the top from second to fourth is going to get shaken up a bit. And Sandro, possibly. Well, I think Reese is going to be the big loser here. Because he does not have any victories right now. And right as it stands right now, Sandro and Reese are going to finish equal on points. But Sandro has a victory. So... Oh, this is very interesting, actually.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, of course, a victory from Sandulis in Laguna Seca.
Exactly.
Fortunately, of course, there were some difficulties, I think, with the live stream back then, but it was a really nice battle between me and Sando for the win there, until I spun it with about 5 minutes to go. We were having a pretty close and exciting battle up until that point.
So right...
That victory is probably going to indeed give him the position over Reese then, isn't it?
Yeah, that position right now, or that victory is gonna play into Sandro's favor right now.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, Sandro is staying out. Randall behind him is not anywhere close to him, so he's not gonna threaten. The gap between, I think, if this is how it finishes, Dion is going to jump to P2, Sandro is going to jump down to P3, and Reese is going to be bumped down all the way to P4.
Yeah.
Wow. This is interesting.
Dion, he has really been on the pace like all weekend. I think even in practice and qualifying, he was really fast. So, and also in the race, his consistency is really, won him this race. If he is going to hang on to this, which looks like he will, if nothing strange will happen. So, very, very good job by Dion Stahl to...
I would say he deserves it. His fastest lap is a 157.122. The second fastest driver is actually Sandro, and that is a 158.103. So a whole second faster.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely deserves it.
And he smashed everyone in qualifying, but that could also be down to a little bit of slipstream from Lance on his flying laps. So yeah, Dion did get at least some slipstream on the straights, and that obviously helped him to clear everyone by at least 1.5 seconds. But he, as you say, he's been on pace. Like, ever since Long Beach, I would say, he's been on the pace.
Yeah. And actually, does this victory from 2 weeks ago also classify as a win?
It does classify as a win. Everyone's finishing position 2 weeks ago is classified.
Okay, so it'll be a second victory then anyway.
It is going to be second victory, yeah.
Well, he's really mastered Road America then.
He has.
Gonna win both races in the wet and in the dry.
So we have 1.5 minutes. I think this is going to be our last lap. Yeah, for sure it is going to be our last lap.
Yeah.
So Dion, last lap of the Grand Prix. Reese March in P2. Right now Sandro still in P3.
Yeah, he is.
And what Reese needs to hope for, Reese needs to hope for is a spin from Dion, if that happens. But I think Dion knows what is at stakes here, so he is taking it very calm. And that 5-second time penalty is not going to bother him at all, as he has 29.
It's half a minute.
Yeah, it's half a minute, so no reason to be scared from Dion's side. Sandro, as of right now, it looks like he's going to be coming home in third. And Randall, on his debut in LMP2, comes home with fourth. Has picked up the pace, and his fastest lap is actually not too bad considering he's not running a setup. It's a 1:59.7, so that's really good from him. I think that is a solid job from Jensen.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, Jensen Randall has done a good job to on his Project Cars 2 league racing debut, basically. I think this is his first league race on Project Cars 2, and he's been a bit unlucky, but his pace has been very decent at this race.
Yeah, he has. He's the only time I think he was called out was a couple of laps ago, where he had to box for a new front wing. Just after Sandro had his little incident that dropped him to third. So yeah, Jensen Randall.
Just 2 corners to go.
So he's gonna take victory for the second time at Long Beach. He did it in the wet. He does it in the dry. And it does mean that he's going to take second place in the Drivers' Championship away from his teammate. Then we are waiting for Reese March, equaling his best finishing position so far, with second place yet again. Sandro, I think this is going to be classified as a disappointing P3 as he does lose P2 in the Drivers' Championship, but when you do have to lose a championship, a position to a driver, it is good that it is his teammate, of course.
Yeah.
But Reese March, across the line in P2. Now, we're just waiting for Sandro. He's coming into the final corner here.
Yeah, I think Sandro, when he was battling with Dion for the lead, he was really giving it his all. And unfortunately, he made a couple of mistakes, but he was just, pushing to try and go for the win.
And here we go. And he slows down. I don't know what he's doing, if he's just waiting for Jensen. Or what is happening here.
Has he run out of fuel, maybe?
Let's check that. He has actually run out of fuel.
Oh my goodness!
So
just before the line as well.
So Sandro, does he require? Here we go.
He's gonna get a push from his teammate.
So this is cars.
Oh god,
cars.
that's so good.
This is cars all over again. Sandro, here we go. He's gonna get a push.
How far is Jensen now? Because he's
Jensen is a lap down to Sandro, so it does not affect.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. So Dion, he has half a minute to give. Oh, here comes Jensen. Ooh, he misses them. Just misses them. Here we go.
Sandro's gonna get pushed. They've got 20 seconds.
Oh my goodness! So what is happening to Sandro? He's breakdancing on stream. Oh my goodness! What is happening?
Yeah, on my screen I can't see what's going on. My screen is completely glitched.
Oh my goodness! So Sandro still gets credited for P3, even though he didn't cross the line, but he did finish one lap ahead of Jensen Randall. But Dion takes victory. Reese March P2, Sandro Dooley's in P3, Jensen Randall on his debut in P4, then it is Lance Lebron who finishes P4, Tim Venting finishes P5, and Nick van Gelder P6, rounding out the grid with a disqualification. Unfortunately, I think we're going to try and get pretty much everyone who was racing at the end here to an interview, so let's see what we can do, because that would be enjoyable, I think. So let's see. Dion and Sandro. There we go. So invite to the call has been sent to them, and we'll see. I imagine they're gonna, show up. Hopefully.
Yeah.
But that definitively concludes this season of LMP2, and we have Jensen Randall in the call here, and we have Sandro now as well, so they're coming in step by step. So if you can start with you, Jensen, if you can hear me.
Hello.
And first of all, it's your debut in this series. You picked up P4. That's not bad, is it?
Yeah, getting to grips with it. Well, I didn't expect to be racing. It's my first LMP2 experience, my first time around Road America as well, so can't really be disappointed with the result.
And you only really had one spin, didn't you? And that was on the closing laps where you lost your rear wing, I believe it was.
Yeah, I was pushing it quite hard.
Okay.
And yeah.
And I imagine without a setup, it was very difficult. The car was probably a little bit loose, I could imagine.
Yeah, it was quite hard to keep it on track.
Yeah, but for me, you get driver of the day. It was a really good drive, even though you only profited from other drivers having misfortune. But still, really, you have to be there to get the positions. So, great job. P3 Sandro. what happened on that last lap? Because you ran out of fuel, it seemed like.
Yeah, I honestly don't really care about the final lap. At least the guys helped me because she ran out of fuel like 100 meters before the line.
Yeah.
Just unfortunate. I had a really big lead of like, I don't know, 24 seconds, and then on lap 7 I went on the exit curb of Canada corner, and the car just kept stucking on the curb. I couldn't do anything and steered me into the wall, which gave me suspension damage. I still was able to hold the gap to everybody behind me quite nicely. So until the pit stop, halfway through the race. Unfortunately, I lost so much time on the pit stop that Dion after the pit stop was 5 seconds behind me. And I set the pit stop that it only repairs mechanical damage, so my suspension damage, but it did not repair my aerodynamic damage, so I had my aero damage for the rest of the race. So Dion was quicker than me, and he caught up to me, and I was pushing really hard because I know he'd overtaken me at some point because I was just not up to pace, especially in a straight line because of the damage. So I pushed so hard that I lost it, I think, on the exit of some kind of corner, and yeah, that gave me suspension damage, and yeah, I just kept fighting that suspension damage for the rest of the race, which couldn't. Probably saw me spin a couple of times through that sharp left. I couldn't steer left because the car would just always lose the rear because of my suspension damage. So yeah, that's why I dropped down to P3.
Okay, but P3, it's a podium again, so congratulations, Sandro. Moving on to P2, Reese March. A really good race. It seemed like you were the only one who didn't have a trip into the wall.
Well, I did once, but I got quite lucky. I didn't get any damage, luckily. So,
okay.
But yeah, it was a pretty good race. I tried to keep it clean at the beginning, but as Sandra and Nick know, I ran into a problem where trying to use braking zones in a race as what you did in qualifying doesn't work. So that went downhill. Then got stuck behind Tim for God knows how many laps. So that was kind of a shame, but. You know, it's fine. It's his race. You know, he can race me. It wasn't for a lap. It wasn't a lap car or anything. But yeah, PT, I'm really happy. I feel bad for Sandra though because he ran out of fuel and also just kept spinning on this one corner, and that's how I got quite lucky to get second. But congratulations to Dion who obviously won. So.
Yeah. And moving on to Dion, second victory. You must like this track, I imagine. You took it. You took it in wet. You took it in dry. Well, are we going to do? If we're going to do a third race, which we are not, I will clarify. But you could probably also take it in the snow, then, I suppose.
You never know. You never know.
But
we once at the snow championship, and I was doing well there as well. So maybe.
But it's another victory. I think it might be a second victory. As last or 2 weeks ago on Road America. Obviously, stream is not up on YouTube. I don't know where it went, but it doesn't matter. But you still get credited with that victory. You got another one here. It's on the same track. It was a very commanding lead. And did you ever have any problems? I don't really remember seeing you having any problems.
Well, I had some problems, but that was on the formation lap because it said that I went too fast, and because of that, I got a 5-second penalty in a drive-through. So I pitted on the first lap and for the drive-through, and I was behind everyone.
Okay.
But luckily, I passed Tim quickly because he crashed. Jensen let me pass, Reese let me pass, Fox disconnected, and then somewhere I overtook Nick because he went into the pits, and then Sandro after he spun, unfortunately.
Okay.
And I spun as well once and nearly spinned it back with a donut into Reese.
Okay.
That was, I think, the only one spun I had during the race.
Okay.
And I still I have to say that I also think it's really unfortunate that Sandro hasn't got the win because he really deserved it after my drive-through penalty, as he was in the lead for like nearly 30 seconds at one time, and that definitely should have been a 1-2, and he should have got the win, I think.
At least my teammate got the win, so I can't complain.
Well, let's just quickly, when we have all of you here, run through the driver standings for the final race, the final driver standings of this LMP2 series. So Vasilios Balestiotis, champion. Nothing happened there in terms of that. In second place, it is Dion Stahl.
Damn.
Well,
So with that
didn't
victory,
expect that.
your victory actually means that you move up to P2, I believe. So let me see. Yes, because you actually had fastest lap as well, so you got 10 points. Sandro, who finished P3, got 6 points. The gap between you before this race was 4 points. The gap between you, the points gap that you bridged, was 5 points with the fastest lap. So you actually take P2, P3, Sandro, on equal points with Reese in P4, but because you have a victory, you take P3. P5 is Lance, and that is actually because Nick van Gelder got disqualified, which means he drops to the bottom of the timings, meaning that Lance scored more points, and then Tim Venting does not move up as well, as the points gap between him and Rob was too great. So final verdict on this series from all of you. Was it fun? Would you do it again? And yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, those are the two questions.
Who's that question for?
So first of all, was it fun? If we take from finishing order, Dion, was it fun?
Well, I think it was definitely fun. But yeah, sometimes it was just too much glitchy. Like in the first race of the season in Daytona, I just got stuck in a pit lane. I couldn't move forward anymore. So yeah, apart from the glitches, this was really fun, I think.
So when we eventually start this series again after the summer break for season 2, you will be on the grid, or?
Yeah, hopefully I can get the championship win then.
Okie dokie. Reese, same question. Was it fun, and will we see you on the grid for season 2?
Yeah, it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, same as Dion said, there were some ups and lows with the glitches and stuff like that, but I really enjoyed the game when it works properly, and yeah, you'll definitely see me on the grid again.
Alright. Sandro, same question. I'm not going to repeat myself, I'm just going to say same question.
No, it's a mixed bag. Obviously, the format, I really like the format with the endurance races. The game is what it is. It has some flukes, unfortunately, some flaws, unfortunately, for example, that the glitches, the servers, it's kind of laggy, you know, and can be really frustrating with the suspension damage, for example, and the curbing. But all in all, I think the series was a nice idea and worked out quite well, actually. Just there's some room for improvement, obviously.
And you will be back on the grid for season 2 as well?
Not for the GT series, but if there's a season 2 of IMSA, definitely.
Well, then I'll take that as a yes.
Yeah.
Nick? Well, we pretty much talked about it. I suppose you're going to be back as well, and you enjoyed it as well?
Yeah, I am. I'm definitely going to be back for season 2. I'm very happy there's going to be a second season on for this series, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think my favorite race was Laguna Seca with that battle with Sandro. Even though it ended a couple minutes before the end with my spin, I think it was probably my best race, despite actually having to pit on lap 1 there because I forgot to fuel the car in.
Okay.
But yeah, apart from that, I enjoyed the races. Unfortunately, I ended on a low, of course, today, but overall, I think it was a very good concept, very nice series, and some good racing. And yeah, like everybody said, Project Cars 2 can be a little bit unstable sometimes, but I think I have to check. I may be screwed over by a glitch with that AI driver shop thing, but it might have been my own fault. I don't know. But I'm looking forward to the GT3 series and IMSA as well next year. Definitely, I'm going to be participating again, and hopefully I can attend every round next season and also be a bit more consistent and yeah, maybe get a couple of wins and potentially fight for the championship. I don't know. I think this season, because it was my first season of league racing on this game, it definitely taught me a lot of things, and I think with that experience, hopefully next season is going to be a bit better. But I definitely enjoyed it. I really like this series.
Alrighty. And with that, I think we're going to close the championship for this season. We're going to be back next season after the summer break. Tune in next weekend when we will be ready with the Azerbaijan Formula 1 Grand Prix. And then in 2 weeks we will be ready with the 1.2 hours of Bathurst on Project Cast for the GT3 series. So until then, we'll see you guys, and bye bye.